So you hear it all the time, right? Bitcoin is digital gold, it's the future, it's this unstoppable force. But is it really? I mean, is it truly indestructible? That's the big question we're tackling today. Can Bitcoin actually be destroyed? Let's dive in. All right, so picture Bitcoin like this massive digital fortress. It's got these incredibly complex cryptographic walls, and for over a decade, it's basically laughed off every attack. But here's the thing. The world outside those walls is changing, and fast. New weapons are being forged. I'm talking about things powered by AI, super smart game theory, and even quantum mechanics. So we're going to look at the three biggest threats that could, just maybe, bring those walls crashing down. So the first threat, and honestly the one that's happening right now, is kinda sneaky. It doesn't attack Bitcoin's code at all. Nope, it goes after the weakest link in any security system. You guessed it, us, the people. And attackers have a brand new, incredibly powerful tool to do it, AI. Yeah, and this quote from an IBM security expert just nails it. If there's one job that generative AI can't steal, it's con artist. Think about that. AI isn't replacing the con artist, it's giving them superpowers. It's making their scams way more personal, way more believable, and frankly, a whole lot more dangerous. And look, this isn't some sci-fi movie plot. $25 million. That is how much a single finance worker in Hong Kong got scammed out of. And you're not going to believe how they did it. The scammers used deepfake tech to create a totally fake video call where they looked and sounded exactly like the company's CFO. The employee had no idea. They just thought they were following orders. This is the new face of cybercrime, and it is terrifying. So what exactly is in this new AI-powered con artist toolkit? Well, for starters, you've got phishing emails that are so good they can perfectly copy the way your boss writes. It's scary. Then, of course, there's the deepfake stuff we just talked about. But believe it or not, it gets even crazier. We're seeing hacker groups run these automated campaigns, things like Ghost Call to trick crypto execs into fake meetings, or Ghost Hire with fake job offers just to get them to click on a bad link. And as if that's not enough, they can use AI to just flood the internet with fake news to mess with the market. Okay, so how in the world do you fight back against this? The answer isn't some new antivirus software. It's us. We have to build a human firewall. And security experts have some pretty clear advice. Number one, if someone you don't know contacts you, verify who they are through a channel you already trust. Simple. Also, stick to secure, official ways of communicating. Don't just click on random meeting links. And really, it comes down to training everyone to spot when they're being emotionally manipulated. And maybe the biggest one, always have a little bit of healthy skepticism. If your boss emails you asking for something weird, just pick up the phone and call them to double check. It's that simple. All right, so that's the human angle, attacking the users. But what about the Bitcoin network itself? This is where things get really interesting. We're going to level up the threat here and talk about attacks that try to game the system from the inside out, attacks on the very rules that make Bitcoin work. You've probably heard of this one, the infamous 51% attack. The idea is actually pretty straightforward. See, Bitcoin runs on consensus. You have all these thousands of miners all over the world all agreeing on the state of the ledger. But what if a single person or a single group got control of more than half of all that computing power? Well, then they'd have the majority vote. They could basically become the boss of the network and start changing the rules. So, what could you actually do with that kind of power? Well, you could stop other people's transactions from going through, which is bad enough. But the real doomsday scenario here is something called double spending. Imagine this. You send someone some Bitcoin, they give you a car for it, and then you use your 51% power to erase that transaction from history. You get your Bitcoin back, and you still have the car. You've created a perfect counterfeit. And if that happens, the trust in the whole system, it just shatters. Okay, so could this actually happen to Bitcoin? The short answer is probably not. Right now, the threat is super low. Why? Because the amount of computing power you would need to pull this off is just astronomical. We're talking billions and billions of dollars in hardware. It's just not economically worth it. But, and this is a big but, for smaller crypto networks, it's a whole different story. Their networks are so much smaller that an attacker could literally just rent enough computing power for an afternoon and take the whole thing over. It's a very real threat for them. But a massive brute force takeover isn't the only way to attack the network. There's a much more subtle, kind of clever threat called selfish mining. Think of it less like a hostile takeover and more like cheating at cards. You're not trying to destroy the game, you're just trying to rig it so you get a bigger payout. So here's how this little trick works. Normally, when an honest miner finds a new block, they shout "Eureka!" and tell everybody right away. But a selfish miner, they find a block and they keep it secret. They start building their own private chain of blocks on the side. Then, right when they see another honest miner is about to announce their new block, bam! The selfish miner releases their secret, slightly longer chain. And because the network always follows the longest chain, the honest miner's work just gets thrown in the trash. The selfish miner basically steals the reward. Now, it's a super risky move, it can totally backfire, but it just goes to show how people are always trying to find clever ways to game the system. All right, we've talked about human error and gaming the system. Now, let's talk about the final boss, the big one, the threat that sounds like it was ripped straight from a science fiction movie, but could be an existential threat to, well, pretty much all modern encryption. I'm talking about quantum computers. First things first, we've got to get one thing straight. Quantum computers are not just, faster versions of your laptop. They're a completely different beast. They play by a whole new set of rules, the weird rules of quantum physics, and this lets them solve certain problems that are literally impossible for even the biggest supercomputers on Earth to solve. Not just slow, impossible. Okay, this is super important because there's a lot of hype here. Most people think the big quantum threat is breaking Bitcoin's mining. And yeah, a quantum computer could speed up mining a bit, but it wouldn't be a game over situation. It would still be incredibly hard. No, the real danger, the one we actually have to worry about, is something else entirely. It's a different quantum algorithm that targets the digital signatures, basically the keys to your personal Bitcoin vault. If that gets broken, an attacker could just walk in and take all your coins. That's the real threat. So, the million-dollar question, when is this actually going to be a problem? Well, in a weird way, the threat is already here. Bad actors are already recording encrypted data right now, just hoarding it, waiting for the day they have a quantum computer powerful enough to crack it. It's called a record now, decrypt later attack. As for when the computers will be ready, Vitalik Buterin, the guy behind Ethereum, thinks there's a 20% chance of a real risk by 2030. Other people point to 2032, but the general consensus seems to be that by 2040, we'll have machines that could pose a really serious threat. But here is what is absolutely wild. This crazy, futuristic, vault-cracking threat, Bitcoin's creator, Satoshi Nakamoto, saw it coming all the way back in 2010. Someone on a forum asked, "Hey, what if someone breaks the encryption one day?" And Satoshi's response was just so calm, so simple. He just said, yeah, the software could be phased in. He knew. And that, right there, is Bitcoin's ultimate secret weapon. It's not set in stone. The code can be changed, it can be upgraded. It's happened before with big updates that made Bitcoin better and more private. So when the quantum threat gets real, the global community of developers and users can just agree to an upgrade. They can switch the whole network over to a new kind of cryptography that's quantum-proof. It's designed to evolve. So this is what it all boils down to, really. It's a simple choice: evolve or be destroyed. All right, so let's circle back to where we started. Can Bitcoin be destroyed anytime soon? Let's do a super quick recap of the threats we looked at. First up, AI deception. This is 100% real, and it's happening today. But remember, it's an attack on people, not the protocol itself. The defense? It's on us to be vigilant. Next, the network attacks. A 51% attack is a serious problem for smaller coins, for sure. But for Bitcoin, the cost is just too insane. It's protected by its own massive scale. Its size is its shield. And last, the quantum threat. Yeah, this is the big one for the long term. A serious risk, but we're probably looking at a decade, maybe more, before it's a real issue. And the defense is already built in: Bitcoin's ability to evolve. So really, when you think about it, it's a race. On one side, you've got these powerful threats: AI, quantum computing, being built in centralized labs by huge companies and governments. And on the other side, you have Bitcoin. It's decentralized, a little bit slow, but constantly evolving, driven by this massive global community. So the question is, which model wins? Centralized speed or decentralized resilience? I guess the next decade's going to tell us.